So so I just want to appreciate everybody for joining us. It's such a pleasure having you with us for tonight's webinar. And I just want to say thank you for always joining us. We do not take it for granted by any stretch of the imagination. So tonight, we're going to be talking about a topic that is really very deep, very contemporary as well, because there's quite a lot going on in our country right now relating to monetary and fiscal policies. Obviously, we all know that monetary and fiscal policies, they have a very important part in determining the wealth, the wealth and the growth of nations and the stability of the money and financial markets, and of course the economy of nations as well. And it is beyond a shadow of doubt that Nigeria is indeed going through very challenging times. But at the same time, we must be honest as well that this is not just limited to Nigeria alone. It's not only Nigeria that is having economic challenges right now. But of course, when you do get these challenges, how do you tackle them? What are the policies you use? And of course, during the week, as many of us already know, of course, we were told, we did find out in the press and through official bulletins that the Central Bank of the Federal Republic of Nigeria would be changing the currencies around, well, not all the currencies, but obviously the most utilized currencies in Nigeria right now have always been, for quite a while, have always been the 200 Naira, the 500 Naira, and the 1,000 Naira denominations. Of course, the 100 Naira is still used, but chances are that you don't have too many of those in circulation. But of course, let's not forget that for those who remember quite well, it was under this same current leader, this same leader, General or President Muhammadu Buhari, whichever way you want to address him, that the currencies of Nigeria were last went through a major change like this when he became head of state. 1983, he was in power from 1983 to 1985. 1983 December, effectively you could say January 1st, 1984, but it was actually the coup was on the last day of the year, 1983. And of course, the currencies were changed then. And the whole idea then was that there were quite a lot of quote and unquote criminal elements, crooks, people who had stashed away loads of currencies corruptly, in cash, and there was a need to obviously render those things useless, but of course bring those funds into the system more or less. So that is why, that was why they did it back then. And of course, the same thing is happening right now. And of course, so many reasons have been adduced. We suspect the same thing. You've also had arguments from managers of the economy. Of course, many of us have always had our doubts about the way the economy is managed, whether there is a proper sinking, between the finance ministry, of course, central bank is supposed to be autonomous, and it is autonomous to a large extent, but of course, it still has to, one way or the other, to do certain things and sync with the Ministry for Finance, and also, but you have a situation whereby the Minister for Finance, Chief Mrs. Nenadi Usman, suddenly came out and said, well, we know nothing about this, and we believe it is illegal. And then the central bank comes out to say, well, this is not illegal, that the president actually gave his assent to it. So you kind of see all things, quite a lot of things going on here, but I mean, tonight we're going to be discussing this in terms of looking at the discussing the policy, being able to, to examine them properly and looking at doing a simple cost benefit analysis, or what has the central bank set out to achieve with this, number one. Can it possibly achieve those things? What are the obstacles to achieving those goals? Quite a lot of these things. Those are the things we'll be discussing tonight. And of course, tonight, we've got an in-house panel, and we'll be going through all of this together, analyzing quite a lot of this. So I'm going to start. I believe we've got PLIDE official in-house. So can I have you, let's start with you. What is your understanding of this policy? What should we expect as Nigerians? What are the what are the difficulties? So what do you think this is set out to achieve, and can it possibly achieve that? We've got PJ Todd official there. If you want to unmute.
Good evening, Mr. Convener.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Secretary.
Yes, it's actually the Secretary.
Oh, the Secretary. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Yes, I want to appreciate all our in-house panelists present this evening. I want to appreciate all PLIDE and everyone who has joined us on this session this evening. For me, when I try as much as possible to illustrate the implication of this policy, I had to look at it from different perspectives. One, we should look at it that the CBN operating under the purview of legality to have announced the need for the currency. The answer is yes. If you also look at it from another dimension, are they giving us enough notice as a stipulated law? From that, but if you are beginning to look at other, developing nations of the world, for example, recently when the 10, 20 pounds and 50 pounds in the UK was being changed to polymer, we knew, and I'm sure the convener himself can attest to it, that up to 1 year was given as a window for people in the UK to have as much as possible to fix deposit their money back into the account. And if you're not looking at it from another dimension, politicians beginning to raise dust, thinking the policy is not right, the policy at this time is not favorable because we have elections coming, in 2023, February and March. But to make a point, I think the election has nothing to fear. If we are not going to monetize the election, if we are not going to continue to use financial inducement of the voters, why then should we have issues as CBN as much as possible to change the currency? For me, I see it is a policy, it's a sport. It's not long overdue because if you look at the financial act, statutorily, currencies are expected to be changed within a period of 5-7 years. And now we've had over 15 years that the policy, the currency are not yet been changed in the country. Yeah. So all these, should not necessarily cause unnecessary, it should not necessarily cause, noise, should not raise dust. If people don't have anything at stake, and the issue that I think we need to be looking at this dimension and from this perspective deeply are the reasons being given by CBN, saying one of their reasons is to make sure that the money that's being paid to kidnappers are being tracked, is to also do that they receive, reduce vote buying in the forthcoming elections. They also want to see how this is going to reduce inflation. And looking at the attitude of Nigerians per se, I'm going to say that from the days that they announced that there's going to be the change in our currency, I can say authoritatively the conversion and the rate from Naira to dollar have risen with over 20 Naira. As we speak earlier this morning, dollar to Naira is over 800 Naira to $1. And I remember a few days before the announcement by the CBN, dollar was trading at 770, 775. But as you speak, as at Friday, Saturday, dollar rate was over 800 Naira. Nigerians just unnecessarily like to panic. We are not necessarily like
Okay. I'm suspecting that there's a freeze there. I think the connection has gone kaput. Okay. Once we have like that Shalafa Emi back, then it's gonna continue along the lines of his conversation. I mean, he has raised some very, very. Oh, okay, you're back now. Just unmute yourself. You're muted. Unmute yourself and continue.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. So for me, I said the reason given by CBN are what I find financially and commonsensically logical. We know our politicians, no matter the amount of money they must stockpile in their different houses, we have 2-3 months, to election. Many of them have what it takes to call on managers of different banks to bring in as much as possible to their houses. So saying this policy is going to, as much as possible is going to reduce vote buying, for me, it's a no. Because if they still want to spend money, if they didn't need bullion vans to come to their houses, in the new notes that is going to be introduced, in the next few months, then we still have to do that. If they're looking at want to reduce the amount of money people pay to kidnappers, per se, let's look at it. Kidnappers are being paid either in local currency or in foreign currencies. As it is now, CBN has tried as much as possible to reduce the cashlight policies, because as it is, they've given citizens authority to deposit as much as possible into their account. That is to say that in the time past, where a corporate account has about 3 million and an individual customer can pay up to 500,000 to their account. Now that has been open. People can just pay as much as possible. They can pay over 3 million now because they want people to bring in money they have in their different houses to the bank. And people can also pay as much as 500,000. So for me, thinking that is going to reduce money in installation, that is going to, affect the amount of money people are going to use in vote buying, and it's also going to from the reasons why currency might have been changed. Let me just try and stop at this point for now, while I wait for my other in-house panelists to make their comments. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Okay, before I let you go on that, I need to question you on certain things. I mean, you made a few comments that now it's almost like it's unlimited. The cash limit has been given to individuals and to companies, to corporate organizations. Now, with the change, is it not in itself? Is it not? Even though the central bank might have increased the limit of depositable cash by individual customers or corporate organizations, is it not still the rule that there are certain thresholds that when a customer transacts to a certain threshold, the banks themselves, because people have accused the banks. In fact, people have said the banks are some of the greatest contributors to financial crime in Nigeria. So is it not the case that the banks are supposed to report over a certain threshold? For example, if you have an individual depositing 5.1 million, I'm just saying, for example, is it not the requirement of, is it not part of the requirements guarding the system against financial crime that the banks must report those things? So, and also, it is the law of the land as well that transacting in cash to a certain category is a criminal offense. It's money laundering in itself. So if you're, I mean, are we not really seeing some truth in some of the allegations people are making that the banks themselves, actually maybe that the banking system needs another Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, to actually send some very, very top dogs to retire them or send them to prosecute them? What do you say to this?
Yes, Mr. Convener, yes. I want to try as much as possible to let people understand that CBN to a large extent must not misinform the general public. In Nigerian banks as it's operational today, there's something we call STR, Suspicious Transaction Report. All banks, file this STR on transactions they see that it's been suspicious. Not only until you exceed your daily limit. For example, you are a farmer or you are a petty trader. I opened an account for you. At the time of profiling you for that account, you told me that your monthly income should not, or probably what you're going to be, your monthly proceeds should not exceed 1 million. And suddenly, I saw you depositing 2.5 million into your account. Even if you have a corporate account, you've not exceeded the 3 million threshold. But it is normal for us as a financial institution to file what we call an STR. Why we are finding that is simple? Because we are seeing that transaction to be irregular with your norm. We are seeing that transaction to be not what you promised and what you earlier declared to us that you're going to do. So for us, we saw it as being suspicious because if you earlier when you are profiling you as a customer, your average monthly income is 1 million, and we are beginning to see you depositing 2.53 million every day, or probably every 3 days. So to us, is a red flag. And STR is expected, and it has been continually filed by banks to CBN. So for CBN to not be saying that banks are beginning to be collaborators to fraud or financial crime, to us is something that we need to recheck, and it's an allegation that they need to reconfirm. And also there's something we call SCOOM, Special Control Against Anti-Money Laundering. For SCOOM, there are certain businesses in Nigeria. For example, if you are into real estate, if you are into sales of precious items, if you are into construction, you are into supermarket and what have you, you are expected to approach, EFCC to get what we call a SCOOM certificate. That certificate is to declare your intent and your line of business. So in case if you are beginning to see transactions that is abnormal in your account, you also need to confirm from what you register with EFCC. If indeed you are into sales of property, and if you saw 100 million in your account, automatically it's expected that, okay, and we now ask you questions and you tell us that the 100 million for the sales of any property, or you got a property for one of your clients. And once that is in tandem with what you earlier exposed and declared to the bank, we don't see it as an issue. But nevertheless, STR is still going to be filed if the property you'll be selling in the last 1 year has been between 10 million or 20 million, and suddenly we saw you purchasing or claiming to us to have sold a property of 100 million. STR will definitely be filed. And I know as it is, CBN has a regular, checks on the banks. And part of what they do is to look at the compliance level of each of the banks. And if any bank is ultra fire or they've gone against, what they're expected to do, there are always appropriate sanctions by CBN to the banks. So for CBN to now be saying that banks are sabotaging their efforts, or they are beginning to work hand in hand in financial, crime and do what have you, to me, it's a policy, it's a statement that must be checked. All the banks have AML desks, which their primary responsibility is to ensure that the operation of different branches of the bank are in line with what the CBN has set out for them to do. And if any bank goes contrary to that, automatically such banks will be fined. That is just it for now, sir.
Wow, that's really, really fantastic. Now, let me take you on the. I know that there are quite a few people in the house that we need to also get to have their own to hear their own opinion on this, to hear their own opinion. I mean, the possibility of bankers taking cash to people's homes. What is that a very, very big possibility? And how can the system guard against this? How can the system guard against this? Because in taking cash to people's homes, especially above a particular threshold, that is a criminal activity. That is money laundering in itself. So if people are doing that, how can the system actually guard against this? Because really, those who abuse the system are within the system. Those who are supposed to protect the system as well, they're usually within the system as well. So these are very, very key things, So let's hear from you on that.
Yes, sir. Yes. For me, when we look at policies being made by CBN, particularly the monetary policy, looking at the cash-like policy, for example, a benchmark for withdrawals for corporate accounts is pegged at 3 million, and for individual is pegged at 500,000. And not only that it's pegged, there is a penalty. If you do above 3 million, 0.03%, of that charges, of that money, of the excess is going to be charged. For example, if I expected to only do 3 million, and if you intend to withdraw 5 million, there is going to be charges on the extra 2 million that you withdraw from the bank. And you as an individual, if you expected to do 500,000 and you want to, as much as possible, confirm to us that you want to do 1.5 million, there is going to be an accruable charges on the excess, which is 1 million naira. The point is this: CBN at no time have ever said that, despite it's being pegged at 3 million, never at any time allow customers to do beyond 3 million. Once the customer is ready to bear the charges on these huge withdrawals, they are expected to withdraw their money. It is their money. And if you are looking at it from another dimension, the amount of money that is being transferred, under NIMS and different transfer mechanism and transfer medium are even more than the cash that is going into that customers have been transacting by cash. Nowadays, customers are willing to do transfers than they do cash deposit or cash withdrawals. And again, this same CBN there's something we call cash in transit. We call it CIT. What it means is this: if a customer can pay, for the bullion, you can pay for the security that we're going to escort this money to your house, and you can, try as much as possible to bear this cost, which in most cases run into millions. Customers are also liable. They are also willing to do that, and they have what you take within their right to be able to withdraw once they are doing beyond the CBN threshold and they are ready to part with this cost. So what we are saying is this: if CBN indeed want to catch money laundering, if they want to try as much as possible to minimize the amount of cash in circulation, there are some of these policies that they need to work around with. We need to peg the amount of money customers can withdraw. Fine. Aside from the fact it's paid at 3 million for corporate customers, what happens? Despite you are leveraging them to pay extra charges, but what should now be the penalty? Away from these charges, should we now cap it to be like 10 million, or we cap it to 15 or 20 million? It's not that we just give customer at liberty to do 200 million, only because they are interested in the charges they are getting from the customer. We should not only be interested in the charges, we must also be interested in how to ensure that customers unnecessarily do not withdraw large chunks of money in this system. For so far, we have policies of assault. So far, customers are citizens and are liable to withdraw any amount of money that they can do. So far, they can bear the charges. They are still going to get it right, and it is still unable to get it right as a nation. But we still need to look in depth to try as much as possible to tighten all loose ends. If indeed you want to fight anti-money laundering, if indeed you want to reduce the amount of money in circulation, away from the charges that is being levied for withdrawal beyond the cash line threshold. Thank you, sir.
Wow, thank you so much. There's still loads of questions I'm going to ask you, but for now, let you rest for a while. Please, there are quite a lot of things you mentioned, and you've actually brought quite a lot of enlightenment into certain issues. And of course, you've also more like frontally challenged the central bank and said, you know what, the central bank cannot continue to actually accuse the banks of all these things. And of course, I asked the question because you did mention, and of course, we do know it. For example, those who have some of these large sums of money stored away in soak-away pits or in some local houses somewhere or in some drums. I mean, we've seen some miraculous things in that country. We've seen money in soak-away pits. We've seen money stored away in water tanks. We've seen even entire buildings, stocked up with cash and locked up. So probably, and like I mentioned at the beginning, this same policy actually happened at the beginning, the first coming of General Muhammadu Buhari when he was military head of state. And of course, I believe that there's certain good that will come with it. Of course, people have mentioned that there are quite a lot of bad things. And of course, we've had one of the former deputy governors of Central Bank, Dr. Mogalu, chip in to say, well, and because certain people have ignorantly said this is going to cause inflation. And the question has been, how is this supposed to, how would this cause inflation? But of course, if in terms of growth, and all those things, those are questionable things. Those are things that are arguable, and we discuss them to try to find out what are the possibilities. But of course, I made mention of that question, because you did mention then that, people, they will even take cash to these people's homes. Absolutely, I agree with you. And of course, Sheikh Gumi, he was yesterday or today, came again and said, well, people will be terrorists, bandits will now be demanding their kidnap ransom in dollars. And I'm like, what is the fixation of Sheikh Dr. Gumi with kidnapping? For me, that was the first question that came in. We're talking of economic policy, and he's talking is this about banditry or just banditry alone? What about the funds that are stored outside the financial system? What about, could this be a smart way of mopping up, excess cash? Because we say that in Nigeria that there's about 80% of the currency outside the banking system. That is too much. That is beyond the universally acceptable threshold. Let's discuss more. I'm just going to call somebody else. Olani Mudashiru, let's have your take on this. Mudashiru, let's have your take on this.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I think these CBN policies on creating new currencies, I think government is trying to target. It looks to me more political than a monetary thing. In the context that we're coming towards an election year, and like you said, from what Sheikh Gumi made mention, we will know that there are a whole lot of loose funds within the kidnapping ring, whichever way we look at it, because they deal with cash. None of them tends to deal with bank transfer and all that. So there is no way you will have cash and you want to spend it if government had changed the note. You are forced to come out and either swap or save those currencies. And once we get into the system, automatically it becomes difficult for you to lock it out. Now, why I said it's political is looking at the deadline, it comes before the general election in February. As politicians have the belief that they are fully loaded with cash, that will tend to nullify and negate what they have. I told one of my friends when we were talking about this issue yesterday, that once that is achieved, the next thing is to crack down on dollars orders. How they are going to go about it, I really don't know. But I know that is going to be the next move by the government. Now, we're a country that tends to do with everything we tend to do, our transactions are cash based. We don't have that credit systems that occurs that you see abroad. You want to buy a house, you pay full cash. You pay cash. What I mean by cash is you pay the total sum. You want to buy a car, you pay the total sum. You want to buy a phone, you want to buy anything. So that credit system is not created. Probably to a few people that do 9 to 5, who have records, who have record as we speak. I normally attend this financial inclusion conference organized by LBS every year. As we speak, I can tell you categorically the banks Nigerians, both corporate and individual, we are not up to 35 million. I can't forget the last figure that was mentioned, and all of us were like, wow, you know, in a country that we are selling, let's assume that we are selling towards 200 million. The bank, Nigerians, corporate and individual, and don't mind you, there are people who have more than one account with different banks. We are not up to 35 million. You know, in a system like that, I remember asking one of the discussants then that, because I use myself to do an example, I'm into fashion. I can critically remember most of those guys that are buying things from the market. I literally made them to open an account. Oh. They would rather follow you to the ATM to withdraw cash so that you pay them than do a transfer to them. Or they now that they are POS, they will just call someone who operates a POS operator, transfer to the person, give me my cash. You know, that is our system. So for the CBN introducing that, it will bring a whole lot of people to come about whatever cash they have, they've kept away from the system, to bring it into the system. Now, how Nigerians are always beating systems, and it will surface to say that whatever the CBN says as regards banks collaborating, we can't shy away from it. Emefiele is from Zenith Bank. If you really know the dealings in banking industry, Zenith Bank is more or less like a company. You understand? Emefiele was the one who oversaw the doling out of the Asuki Gate as CBN governor. You know, so when things like this come out from the system or from someone who is supposed to monitor the system, they know what they're talking about. When Sanusi Lamido took over then and was saying that every bank, CBN came about all banks having the same financial year, it was because of what he knew within the system. Then maybe intercontinental financial year closes January, just an assumption, GT closes in March, Oshomi closes in June. There is a way they do it. Once you are done with your own, you send cash to my bank for me to tidy up my books. You know, that's the way it operates until when Sanusi came about and said, okay, all banks must have the same financial year ending. Same way with having CEOs that have used over a number of years for them to hand over and leave. It was because of what he knew within the system. So for Emefiele saying what he said about the bank, he knew about the system. He's not an outsider. I'm going to use an example that once happened to me. I used to do oil trading, and then it was more or less like when you supply. Okay, it was more or less like buying and selling, where you have a buyer who wants to sell and a seller who wants to take like 1 million liters. I was fortunate to at least do a few transactions. Now, those boys were funny when we did the first transaction, and I had to like be street smart when we're doing the second transaction. The second transaction, the company we're selling to needed a Zenith Bank account, which the buyer needed a Zenith Bank account, and the seller was using, I think, Diamond Bank then. So I had to go and open a Zenith Bank account with my closing line certificate. Now, along the line, because I was I was interfacing between the seller and the buyer, but because the seller cheated me the first time, so I felt okay. The buyer is going to pay to me directly, and this transaction was well over 150 million. You know, it was jet A12, and I did 1 million liters, like 3 times or thereabouts. Now, I had to use, during the course of the transaction, the buyer asked me if I have a Zenith account. I told the person I have, but it wasn't an oil company. Listen to me. He said, but it's your money. Either it's going to your clothing, you know, or to, I know, is your cash, you know. So they paid into my clothing line with Zenith. I can remember, because I complained to my account officer then that what they were charging per meal was high. This guy went, he wrote to the I still have the letter, because of the letter, wrote to the head office to have a reduction, and I was able to have a reduction. I think it was to 2 Naira per meal. I can't remember what the reduction was. So for a fellow to tell you that collaborators within the banking system, they know what they are saying. Saying people will you report a customer that is giving you funds to make you move up the ladder as a marketer or as a banker? I kid you not, the manager of that particular branch, because I was not visiting the branch, I was making transfers online or make an instruction to my account officer. I remember the first time I only visited the bank, that's any bank branch twice. I remember the second time I went in, the branch manager came to meet me to apologize for not visiting me at home. That they should have come to visit me. That was the day I got home. I told my wife, I said, we worship money in this country. They don't even know what I am doing for a living. You understand? You are seeing transaction flow of 250 million, 400 million, and you felt that you need to go and visit this person.
But visiting you,
they know.
Sorry to cut in. Is visiting you not part of isn't it part of the KYC thing? I mean, know your customer is about knowing your customer.
No, they come around to do that before opening the account. Now,
KYC is a continuous process. KYC is not.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay.
Wait, now should you allow me to land?
Okay. When you finish, that's fine. Okay, just I'll finish. Okay, then.
So I'm just trying to point out to you that that the banking or the banks are collaborators when they want to protect their customers. That's what I'm just trying to point out. If you have a client that is doing 500 million, 1 billion, and you want to report that person by filling what form, have you gotten another job? If I tell you, I have a friend that deals with oil. We have another friend that was a banker. For every bank that this guy worked, our friend who is the money bag, make sure they normally dictate his appointment. You understand? Because it's coming with cash. That guy has moved across almost 4 banks now, selling.
Wow.
I think it's selling now. He started with FCMB, Union Bank, and for every movement that he moves, my friend will move his cash because he wants things to right. You know, there are things he just wants to do. And when we are talking, this guy is a billionaire. They have a depot in Ababa. You understand? So for him moving his cash, he tends to help our friends move up the ladder in the banking system. So when Emefiele tells us that banks are they know what they are saying, they know what they do with the system, and it is only someone within the system that can clean the system. If the person wants to and is ready to. The willpower. It is only the person within the system that knows the system that can cleanse the system. That's my contribution. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mudashiru. I love the passion. Look, this is what these webinars are about. Everybody having their say, and there's no wrong, there's no right. We all discuss it together, and thank you so much. I came in there because I wanted to actually be sure, are you really serious about that? And also because at the end of the day, you've made some very, very critical points and even some huge allegations there against the running of the financial system. And of course, you've ended up, you've been very vociferous in support of the allegations by the CBN and operators of the banking system that the banks in Nigeria are actually accessories to the financial crimes and everything. But of course, PLIDE Fahimi wants to step in, and I'm going to allow him at this point before going on to others. TJ, please get ready, and after that we have PLIDE Olade Afolabi. Then we've got PLIDE Identify and then PLIDE Lookman in that order. So just get ready. But let's come to you, PLIDE Fahimi.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Pavena. Yes, I want to sincerely appreciate the submission and comments made by my brother's leadership. Indeed, it was on spot too, yes, because when you're looking at financial crime, for many of us, in what we call money laundering. Money laundering has different stages and different layers. There's something we call integration, there's something we call layering, there's something we call placement. So we have stages of money laundering, and every stage has different
the killer characteristics. Yeah. Okay, I think we have I'm suspecting we have a problem.
Yes, for example, the marketers or probably the bank officers saying they want to visit you. Once they're beginning to see you. Yes, for those people saying they want to visit you because they observe you were doing some transactions or they saw large inflows in your account. KYC, to say, is what we call know your customer. And KYC is a continuous process. KYC is not what you do once and you stop. For example, a customer might approach me as a banker to say, oh, I'm into sales of building materials. And at the time of opening that relationship, I profile that customer to be into sales of building materials. And after 6 months down the lane, the inflow of this customer into the account or probably on daily basis has been like 1 million. And observe, this inflow has increased to 3.5 million on daily basis. Unknowingly to the customer, I can just walk up to you and oh, Mr. Sadiq, I observe you've been doing well in your account. There has been high inflow to your account. If you don't mind, I won't mind. One of my guys from head office has promised to come and visit you. The essence of us visiting that customer is one, to determine has there been change in his business that has warranted that sudden inflow that is coming to his account. One, two. Has there been expansion? Is it in self-building materials? Maybe he has one store. Now the store has been increased to 3 or 4. 3, has there been diversification in that business or has there been introduction of new businesses? We do proper KYC. And once we come back to the office, we also file a report to say, oh, at the time of this customer opening this business, he has just 1 or 2 outlets. But when we visited now, we realized he has gotten additional 2 or 3 more outlets. And moreover, at the time we opened this account for the customer, we realized it was only to sell some building materials. But after the visit we had to him last week, we realized this customer has opened like 2, 3 bet shops, bet Niger shops, which has necessitated, the daily inflow that is coming to his account. And also there's something we call EDD. EDD means enhanced due diligence. Enhanced due diligence goes beyond you coming in to open an account in a bank. We have a database. Even one who want to open or initiate a transaction with that bank, we put in your name into that database to see if there has been a financial crime against your name, to see if there has been a repeated dot check on you to actually ascertain the character of that customer, to also see, there are so many things we do in the background that customers and a layman customer will not know. We do an enhanced due diligence. We do a continuous KYC to actually ascertain what this customer do. And to go back to CBN, I want to reiterate again that CBN has been a lazy body. I said at the initial, there's something we call STR, Suspicious Transaction Report. Every bank as is operational in Nigeria file STR on transactions that we see that is inconsistent with the manner in which that customer has been operating on that account before. The question we should now ask is this: what has CBN be doing with the STR that the banks fight for them on weekly basis? Do they actually have a database to interrogate the figure? And do they drill it down to investigate the character of these customers that will provide or fight STR on their behalf? There are so many questions we need to ask, CBN. But banks, they see CBN as one of their regulatory bodies. So there's a limit to the question they can also ask CBN. But I want to let you understand, to a large and reasonable extent, that is why fraudsters or kidnappers will not tell you to make transfer into their account, because they know it is traceable, because they know banks will expose them. But because of different layers and different stages of money laundering, from placement to layering to integration and what have you, all these kidnappers and money launderers also understand the roles played by the banks in exposing the fraudulent activities that they carried on their account. So everybody are just trying to build the system. And like I said, CBN must try as much as possible to tighten all the loose ends in the monetary policies and in also the regulatory policies that is being dished out to affect citizens and most especially against anti-money laundering. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. PLIDE Mudashiru, you've heard that from the PLIDE Anchola Fahimi. Do you want to? I mean, we can give you 1 minute if you just want to respond to that or clarify anything, or if you're fine with that, let us know before we move on to the next person.
I'm fine. We can move on to the next person.
Thank you so much, PLIDE Mudashiru. I love this. This is the beauty of webinars where we can exchange ideas. Let us come to you, Alhaji Tijani Fatai.
Good evening, and I'm not a financial expert, and but I know that I do know that it was during President Buhari's tenure as military head of state 1984 that we had the change of the Naira, and I also know that as a layman, we also know that it's also in government today, and the question will always be what were the advantages at the time? And what gains are Nigerians expecting in the rebranding of the Naira or whatever, or changing of the, I don't know. Then secondly, I want to say that, yes, I go into with the fact that the bandits will lose a lot because the monies they took from people are stashed somewhere and etc. But like I've always been saying, I've said it severally on my different radio programs, that man, Gumi, should not be left to roam the streets as a free man. By now, in the sinner climes, that man would have been taken a long time ago. We saw pictures where he was taking money from people and giving to bandits and etc. And he's always the first to come out and start speaking against any policy that knows that will affect the bandits. So if the man is left to roam the street free, Nigerians, we continue to be endangered, and so I think that man must be taken. I do not have much to say. I've learned a lot from the secretary and the other person that spoke, and yourself as being a former banker yourself and etc. Most of us, some of us are here to learn from you and to also, keep our records for our discourse on radios and etc. So thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, TJ Fatai. You said you're not a financial expert, but you made very, very solid points there. And of course, that reminder again that this policy, the last time such a blanket execution of a policy such as this was done, implemented was when this current leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, then General Muhammadu Buhari, was head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I appreciate you for stepping in and being part of the conversation this evening. And you said something, and it is, I'm very happy you made that comment, and you're one of those who can actually make it, because one, you're a Muslim yourself, and you're a cleric as well, and you're saying, and which is what a lot of people have said, it is why on earth, Gumi walks free, and you made a valid point there that the man criticizes every policy that will potentially impact negatively on the bandits. And I believe, the sergeant did mention that a lot of these funds will still find their way into the banking system. But I do believe, the government will be daft if they don't have a trap in place. I believe there will be some subtle traps in certain places. They're just waiting for these funds to come and then they can go after certain people. But of course, that's if the government is sincere themselves, because a lot of people have questioned their sincerity on a number of scores. And of course, Gumi's matter is one of the reasons why people continue to question the neutrality and or at times, well, maybe we should not blame government too much. It is well known that many governments the world over, security services, intelligence services, at times actually bringing a suspect in is counterproductive. But when you leave that suspect to operate in the open, then you follow every of their footsteps, you monitor them, you track them. It does help at times as well. So we don't really know what is going on, whether it is the government just letting the man just roam free and mess up the system, or whether there's something going on. But I mean, very, very quickly, let me call on PLIDE Oladayo Afolabi. Let's have your views on this.
Good evening, the convener. Good evening, everyone on the call. It's good to be here. I've been out of touch with the world for like 2 weeks now because I just completed the program.
You went to Spain for what?
No, we just had a conference and built up to the conference. I had so many engagements and all that. So
I believe that was Amupam, yeah? Was that the Amupam?
Yes, it was.
Oh, well,
yes.
Well done. I must commend you publicly.
Oh, it's fine now. It was a success and I'm back home.
Yeah, I must commend you publicly because it is very easy to, it is criminals that we commend a lot of times, and we criticize people openly, but I must commend you for the job you keep doing with it. Can you tell us the full name of that, the AMUPAM? Can you tell us the full name,
Association of Medical Ultrasound Practitioners of Nigeria.
Oh, okay, well done. Thank you so much. Well done. Congratulations on the success. So let's have your views on this.
Yeah, so I know broadly we are talking about the financial policy of the CBN, and with the new redesigning of the Naira notes being the current focus. For me, I always wonder why we like doing something, leaving the other undone. And in this case, we are talking about redesigning the Naira notes, whereas other criminal activities in the banking sector, which is even known, has not actually been addressed. And so it's like you are not going to achieve so much, no matter how you sugarcoat or decorate the gains or positives of the move. Why am I saying it? In the build up to the program, I called one of our ESCOs and he narrated a very sad event to me. And what happened was that he lost his phone, and within 45 minutes of retrieving the line, 4 of his accounts were cleared.
Oh my God.
Not only were 4 of the accounts cleared, as in, of course, it was over 60 transactions that took place in that account, which wasn't a normal, that was not the norm. It doesn't have that kind of transactions within a short period. You get, so there was no way for the banking sector to flag off any of those transactions. If this person does 3 transactions, if that same person is now doing about 15 transactions, then it means something could be wrong. But that was not even the only thing. The other thing was that they also this was somebody that doesn't even have a banking app on his phone. And all they did was, because they had access to his SIM card, they were able to clear his accounts. And going further, they even used his accounts to borrow money.
Wow. Wow.
And if not for the kind of person he is, it's enough to drive a person insane. And that is in Nigeria we find ourselves. A third party can do transaction on our behalf, and it can go untraced. Earlier, somebody was talking about money finding its way back into the system, which I believe is very true. because POS operators, you just go to POS, you tell the person to transfer to POS and you take cash, you understand? And all of these people can there is no consequence for it. There is no, not only consequence, there is no structure, no framework to determine the genuineness of those transactions. Because you are standing before a POS person, he doesn't know you, you don't know him. You understand? You can make transactions and go, and that's the end. Nobody can be questioned, even if such transaction is dubious. You can move money into betting companies, and that is the end. And of course, when they do all of these illegal transactions, it is these categories of entities that they use for such illegal transactions. So the POS operators and the betting companies and the likes. And so you ask yourself, you have these kind of issues in your hand, you have not addressed it. Because now somebody else, nobody can give the details of who borrowed the money. All they know is that money, a request was made through a person's account, and a standing order has been given that whatever comes into that account should be paid back into somebody else, without any form of verifying who is making the request and the genuineness of it and all that. And that is, and so when you see a lot of dramas happening in the backing or probably in videos and all that, these are some of the things that have led to such dramas. Yes, and people raising alarm that, oh, I just woke up in the midnight and I started seeing all sorts of transactions taking place. You know, you have SIM cloning and all that and all that. So I think there is a greater evil that needs to be addressed, because most of these policies, at the end of the day, the people at the receiving end are the people at the lower end of the pyramid. That's being said, of course, we also know that Nigeria is about interest. If people are pushing for this thing, it's because they also have something to benefit. And we don't want to go into the details of all that, but of course, we know how much has been earmarked for this whole exercise. Printing of money is not cheap and all that. And we are beginning to even see the effect of this same, what they want to do on the dollar already, because dollar is now selling at almost over 700 Naira as it's were now. And then probably in the next 2-3 months, dollar may be selling for 1,500 or thereabouts, because the people who actually hold the cash would want to swap the currency in which they have it and all that. And once that is done, it's still not in the banking of. So these are some of the things that needs to be looked into. I don't want to delve into certain things. Maybe later in the course of the discussion, I may summon courage to raise one or two other concerns. But for now,
okay. Maybe just before you go, I'm gonna put a question to you, because you're not the first person to. Just before you go, because you're not the first person
putting me in the firing squad.
Straight away, you know, you want the cup to pass over you, but this cup will not pass you over. You know, more or less. You know, you made a comment about. I mean, you said it like the government is being unreasonable because this is impacting the dollar. But really, should it be impacting the dollar? Because how many countries? And for some of us, we were like, what is the government really doing? But the only explanation I can come up with possibly is that the people in government benefiting exceedingly from this, or there are powerful people within the system that are too powerful to touch, and because of that government, because why would a nation allow people even, why would a nation allow deposit withdrawal of another currency parallel to its own currency, simultaneously, pari passu? I do not, because this is simple. Most people that I know, most people, friends, family, people, associates, everybody most people keep their money in dollars in their own country. Many people, once their salaries are paid, they take a little that they need to run one or two things, and the remaining they change it straight away to dollars. So you've got, these are simple, this is economics 101, econs 101, eco 101, or whatever you call them. This is not advanced economics. Basically what you have is there's such a high demand for dollars within the system. Every day dollars are being demanded, loads. Everybody, you do a transaction, you do a contract, you supply, immediately you get paid, you want to change it to dollar. And then we have a government that's looking at it. Everybody wants to keep their money in dollars. That is the main problem itself. So it is, I do not, of course, we're looking at the merit and the demerit of this new Naira notes policy, but we're looking at it from another angle. Why do we have these accounts very operational in the system? Nigeria is one of the few banana countries where you have that system. It is totally out of control. I mean, other systems that have it where you can, in some other countries, even in Western countries, you can open a dollar account, you can open a euro account. But these, in fact, the limit on how much you can actually put in and how much you can withdraw on a monthly basis and on a daily basis. And then the fluctuations are so strong that themselves, they're actually, they're disincentive to put too much money in those currencies. You only put money in those currencies because when you go abroad for holidays and go, you spend direct from them without having to, there's no conversion to you from your local currency. So, this is me just asking you on that. How does that make sense in itself? Because it does appear that, and I'm saying this, and I know some friends or some associates or people, people watching, some will reach out to me later and go like, oh no, why are you doing this? I know, why are you saying this? We love it. Because most people that I know, they love the policy. So I'm actually saying things people don't even want to hear, things people are not interested in hearing. So, but this is a simple fact that this is one of the things contributing to the destruction of our currency because of this simple law of demand and supply. It is depleting our foreign reserve. It is making our balance of trade. It is actually making it very, very lopsided. It is destroying the economy because we are an imports-dependent economy. But I know many people here will probably do not even like my intervention on this. But I'm putting it to you, PLIDE, Olade Afolabi. If you're saying the government, they've cost all of a sudden now because people haven't, and you're putting the blame on the government. Why are you putting the blame on the government? Why is the government, because basically putting the blame on the government, and it's like the government is doing a wicked thing. Now, because we all have to change our funds now to dollars to keep in our DOM account within our country, this government they've been very wicked. So why? It's just me asking. Sorry, I know I'm putting you, just, it's bullseye, really. There's no escaping, okay. I know.
It's fine. I do not think, I'm not trying to say it's a wrong move. It's actually a good one. It's just that I wish it's going to be pursued with sincerity of purpose from top to bottom. That's number one. Number two, it's not like I'm just saying that as soon as that thing has been announced, they understand people will now have, it's just another way of moving the money back into the system now. They understand, just like somebody said earlier, that monies will always find its way back into the system. People are now moving the money in back through the bureau, the change. You understand? So the money, of course, is bureau the change. It's a company. You understand? They can do their transactions just the same way I talked about people taking advantage of betting companies and POS transactions to actually do all sorts of illegal acts. I read the comment on the platform. Somebody was, I think the secretary was trying to educate me that the POS something is regulated and all that. That is true. But then somebody wants to take bribe from you. He forces you to go to the POS because he doesn't want you to transfer to him so that he cannot be traced. He forces you to a POS operator, tell the Squares operator, oh yeah, pay, transfer also to the person, let so person give me cash. And that is the end. You cannot say that this money is a proceed of bribe or anything like that. You get? Now, I'm saying that money have started making its way back into the system through the Bureau de Change now. The policy has been announced. People need to get their money back. They do not want to, they don't have, these are, some of these things are illegal proceed. They don't have the decency to go in and lodge it in as they are into their own accounts. You understand? And as a result, the best they can do is give it purchase in dollars. You understand? You have a foreign currency. Now, the reason for the pressure of dollars also is because over the years, our own Naira has not been stable. Of course, I'm not responsible for that. It's the financial regulators that are supposed to.
Nobody has actually.
Yes, they are the ones to think out. I know. I'm just saying that they are supposed to think out how to actually make the Naira stable. And you can see how the instability, as if you were to look at the curve over the past period of 10 years plus now, you can see that it just keeps rising. You understand? And so because of that, for security reasons, people feel, oh, the best thing to do is to change your denomination into dollar, because to a large extent, the dollar have been stable over time. And that boils down to what we're having. Even as it stands currently, a lot of transactions take place in dollars. You understand? People want to sell properties and they rather prefer to sell the properties in dollars and not in Naira in our own country. You understand? You have a lot of multinationals who are paying rent for their probably, if they rent apartments for their staff, they pay in dollars to the landlords of those apartments. You understand? In the likes of, you understand, because the apartment is for expatriates in quotes, and so the landlords too, oh, you have interest in my property, you have to pay me in dollars, and all of that happen right under our nose, and then we are helpless about it. I'm sure you can guess how much a property is going for now in Eko Atlantic City. You understand? And of course, that is also happening right here under our very nose. So all of that are just some of the things. So I'm just saying that I wish we can look at this whole thing holistically, and let us always, why we want to initiate a policy, let us also address some of the concerns of the people. And some of those concerns are just some of the ones I just tried to enumerate upon earlier. So I just wish that we could have an holistic approach to this thing and not just, the bandits will not be able to. The bandits will collect the money. They will find a way to get it across. You understand? So they will only end up adding the charges of the difference in the dollar when they want to return. So somebody that is asking for 1 million, you would think of, by the time I go to Bureau de Change now, it was so you will not get that for 1.5 million. So that's just it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you
so much, PLIDE Afolabi. And once again, apologies for putting you on the spot, but that's what we do here. We did the same thing with Mudashiro as well. It's just about trying to, don't forget that we've got people out there who are watching us live, people who are following these, and people who are going to watch later and ask questions. So thank you so much. I'm going to quickly, before I go to before I go to PLIDE Lukman, I'm going to go back to PLIDE Shalafayemi is trying to make some clarifications there. Can you let us hear from you? I mean, there were certain things you wanted to say. Let us hear from you.
Yes, thanks so much, Mr. Convener. Yes, I also learned one or two insights from the presentation by Mr. Ladai. And I remember he talked about probably a friend of his or another customer that lost money within a period of 5 minutes. And I also said, and I remember vividly because we've had cases in the bank where customers will come into the bank to register for BVN. And 20-30 minutes after the registration of BVN, fraudsters will call them. So we raised this issue over and over again that BVN database is maintained and by CBN. How did the fraudsters get access to this database that they use that to perpetrate fraud on customers' accounts? And again, you know, CBN has also given us that policy that every customer's account must be linked to their BVN. And so to say, one BVN, either I have account to get back to Nigeria, one BVN must be linked to my account. And if guys are, you know, eating deep into that strategy to understand that once they get BVN, they will get all the bank accounts that is being maintained by these customers. And they have systems at home that they can use to perpetrate fraud on these customers. And again, I also said, you know, for every fraud to happen, in most cases, up to 70% of fraud, customer compromise is free. For example, there are so many customers that are gone. They will touch some of them. The broker will disguise to be punished from the bank and say, oh, we are going to send you a code right now with the election ATM and ATM card has not working. You want to activate your ATM card. Somebody will call you and want to be punished from your bank. And this same broker will also be asking you, which bank do you have account with? And many of our customers are vulnerable and they fall into this trap. And for example, this person that lost his number in 45 minutes. 45 minutes is a lot of time for crime to be perpetrated. It is so simple. You have a friend that has a mobile phone. Tell your friend to send a message to contact center of your bank. And every bank in Nigeria has a contact center that works 24/7. I have customers that are coming by 12 a.m. Many of them will be coming from the block. I'm robber will collect their ATM card. I'm robber will collect their phone. And 12:31 a.m. they will come in. Mr. Solas, I was coming from the bank now. I was coming from the block. I'm robber, you know, they will. They've collected all our phones, they've collected all my ATM card. Please, can you help me to block my account right away? On the spot, I will engage my contact center and all those bank accounts will be blocked on the spot. We do it any time of the day. So it is simple. There's a code in this customer card there. There's a universal code. That CBN was also giving every customer, together for many of the bank. That code immediately. The code will block all your accounts in every bank you have account with. Once it's suspicious, and you make a fraudulent alert, an alert that your phone number has been compromised and you want all your bank account to block, it can be blocked at the time. So many of our customers can I say they are not well aware, or can I say many of them also felt, oh, I will run to MTN office. Instead of you running to MTN office, run to your bank's phone.
Wow. I'm suspecting that as his connection gone off or something. PLIDE Fire okay, when you're back,
and they have fraudulent alert. Immediately they have fraudulent alert on their account. So I just think what we need to do is banks to continue their sensitization, and likewise CBN as supposed to say, to ensure.
Go on. Okay, I think his connection has gone kaput. So we're just gonna continue. It's been a very, very fantastic one. I mean, he's made he's tried to offer up quite a lot of clarifications in that area. And when PLIDE Shalafayemi comes back, he will allow him to finish it off. The point is trying to make. Oh, okay, he's back now. Are you back now?
Yes, I'm back now.
Okay, so complete.
Thank you.
Complete what you're saying.
So like I was saying, I would want the bank to intensify more effort on the sensitization strategy. Let customers know what to do. Let customers know what to do when there is an alert, probably an intention to commit fraud on their account. And at the same time, CBN should intensify more efforts on the cyber security. They need to invest in cyber security. It is unheard of that customers' database can be plugged into my fraudster database in which it is solely responsible and managed by CBN and NIBS. CBN database is managed by NIBS. How come that once any customer approaches any bank to register BVN, it might be in any other bank, not only Access Bank, not only Senate, not any other banks in Nigeria. Once customer approach them to register for BVN, 45 minutes afterwards, there's an alert. And this fraudster will start calling these customers because they knew that for you to have registered for BVN, you will actually approach that bank to open an account. And they're now beginning to trace them, they pass substantial information to them, and they're beginning to defraud the citizens. CBN need to really understand cyber security and invest hugely in cyber security so as to safeguard customers' funds properly. Thank you, sir.
Wow, I'm just loving every bit of tonight's conversation. It's been so fantastic hearing from this panel. Maybe we need to do this more. I give a bit more time to our in-house panelists to actually, be able to analyze all these real life issues and be able to prefer up solutions. And I love the multiplicity of opinions, the dimensions, the multiple dimensions to this conversation. So it's not like all of us are thinking in exactly the same direction. That quite a lot of different thoughts here and there. And it's been a very, very fantastic one. Thank you so much. I'm going to go to PLIDE Lukman Ayele, and then I'll go to PLIDE Aluko after that. And Adetify is back. So I'll go to Adetify after, then Aluko after that. And then, that should be it. But PLIDE Lukman, let us have your take on this.
Good evening, my powerful convener. Good evening, everybody in the house. Well, everybody have really spoken well tonight. It's a learning process, and lessons have been learned, lessons have been taught tonight. I really appreciate it. But in my own little thinking, it's a good policy, actually. It's a good policy because if you look at things from 2015, we realized that this present government have been borrowing. And when they are borrowing, if they are injecting this money into the system, then we, as citizens, we should be feeling it. But we will all realize that most of the masses, they are not really feeling it. So definitely some people are actually getting this cash and stocking it somewhere. So that's why I said this policy is a good one. On the ground that the government can do a good and close follow-up. Because most times in Nigeria, when they make a policy, they don't do follow-up. Because with this system now, most of the people that have kept the money somewhere will start bringing it out. And there will be flow of cash in the system, which will actually reduce hardship within the system. And another angle which I'm looking at is the 2023 election. If we look at it, we realize that Buhari government, this present government have failed Nigerians in so many ways. And with the way I'm thinking, I'm talking about my personal opinion, I realize that it seems they want to give us a free and fair election in 2023. So most of these politicians have realized this process, that the 2023 election will be a free and fair one than the ones we have been before. So most of them, in this case, will be depending on giving giving people cash to vote, vote buying will be their next option. So this system also will curb vote buying if there's critical follow-up with the policy. Come 2020, it will actually curb vote buying, because for them to get the new currency to stock it, if the CBN or most of our banks do not compromise the system, then it won't be easy for them to keep stocking the new cash for election. So that's my only two opinion towards it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm learning as well. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, PLIDE. That's Lukman. And I mean, you brought in I love the simplicity of thoughts and the dimension. You have brought in the electoral angle into it, about rigging of elections and everything. Thank you so much for those very, very considered thoughts. You're one of our most consistent attendees at the webinars. So it's always a pleasure hearing your thoughts, hearing from you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. We've had Mr. Adapter also join us, so we'll go to him at some point. But let's go to Adetifa at this point. Adetifa, let us hear from you. PLIDE and Adetifa, let us hear from you on this. If you want to unmute yourself, yeah. Okay, you're unmuted now. Yeah, go on.
Good evening, convener,
Good evening.
The entire member of PLIDE. I think I'm enjoying the webinar this evening, and as a novice into the banking and monitoring stuff, I think I'm here to learn. So in which I've been listening carefully and digest some great points that are being raised by most of the persons that have spoken tonight. However, I will just have to say that, no, to my own opinion, I don't think the policy of changing Naira notes to another new design, I don't think is something that we needed in this country right now. Because to my own opinion, I believe if some of politicians or some fraudulent Nigerians might have already stored, this our currency somewhere else, even within this short period of time, they still have ways to exchange this money, is either to foreign currency. Because to me, it's very surprising to wake up in the morning, maybe like Friday morning, that a dollar is being sold at the rate of 165 as at 155. 170. 765 as at that time. And before the night, till Saturday morning, is being sold at the rate of over 800 Naira. So to me, that means
wow,
there's high demand.
So it's already 800 now. I suppose that's in the black market, right? It's already 800 pounds, $800, 800 Naira to $1 now. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So that is to tell us that there's high demand of dollars. Why some people that already stocked this money want to change this to the foreign currency, because they might not even have the capacity to change large sum amount of money when the new Naira notes is being introduced. So that's why I think that I don't think the policy can bring any positive change to the poorer society we currently have in Nigeria. So I think the government should have put more effort in now to tackle these foreign exchange issue, because it's causing a lot of hardship even to the common man that doesn't have anything to do with either banking or transacting from Nigeria to abroad. So that is my only two contributions. So thank you very much, sir.
Wow, thank you so much, PLIDE. It's identified. Well, that's information. But I mean, it just goes to it actually goes to that point about, one, our policy, in isolation from others. Managing the economy of nations, even managing the economy of your family, is about actually juggling various decisions together on various aspects, on various things, combining them together, just making sure that everything works together. That's why even the Holy Book says everything working together for good. It's got to be a bit of everything, So, if it's $800, $800 Naira to $1, over 800 Naira to $1 already in the black market, that means. Or could it be that the government is very smart after all? Maybe it's not dumb. Could it be that it's not dumb? Maybe it's smart after all. It might not be dumb. It might just be a case of, I don't know. These are within the realms of conjecture. Could it be that the government wants people to move the currencies in dollars, and then put in a major policy plan as well that will make it very difficult to access those dollars in your domiciliary, in your Nigeria held domiciliary accounts, maybe, because for me, if a government has a plan, it might be thinking along those lines. Say, well, yeah, if we do this policy, chances are that they will start converting into dollars. Now we actually need those monies to come in, and we need to be able to, stamp down on a few things and maybe trap some of those funds, utilize them, maybe give compulsory purchase orders to banks. And that it's been done before in Nigerian banks. The banks will pay you in Naira. It's been done before. Some of us will remember many years back when the banks had a right to actually compulsorily, pay depositors in Naira, in local currency. Could it be a bit of that? Or is this government just totally incompetent? Or are they really brilliant after all, waiting to trap the funds in foreign currencies and then use that to actually cushion quite a lot of things, and then make sure that those who want to withdraw those funds maybe can only withdraw a fraction, and that the majority of it would have to be withdrawn in Naira. Maybe, fingers crossed, time will tell. We don't know. The government may be totally incompetent, or the government may be up to something. I'm just going to call Adapter now. Mr. Adapter, let's hear from you on this. Olada, you unmuted yourself. Is it that you want to say something?
Maybe later on, because later on, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay, let's have Adapter. Let's hear from you on this.
Good evening, my convener.
Good evening.
And every members of PLIDE that have joined the webinar this evening. Let me first say that it's my pleasure to be part of this webinar this evening. It's been a long time I've attended. Yeah. And the issues that are raised are issues that are supposed to be truly discussed, because it's going to determine the next 4 years of our national life. For instance, if you look at the issue of the election, me for one, I don't have a precise candidate that I really wanted to support initially. I'm of the opinion that I want a new Nigeria with new people to run their affairs. But in the end, we found out that the old guys are still the one parading the corridor of power. So therefore, we're now looking for the best out of the worst three. Because nobody will tell me Peter Obi is a good guy. To hell with his goodness. What has he done in Anambra for 8 years that he was there?
Okay, let's not discuss politics. Let's discuss this policy. We're here to discuss policies, not politics.
What has he done for us that makes him a messiah? If they say Atiku is the man, what is the antecedent of Atiku in government? So the three of them are not the best for the country. But something caught my attention recently, and that is the Tinubu's manifesto. Number one, where he was discussing about how to turn CBN around. And he mentioned the fact that if there is inflation in Nigeria and they are increasing the interest rates, it is very, very bad. As an accountant, I see that as something that is genuine from the mouth of an accountant who knows what he is doing. So therefore, that policy alone is making me to have interest in the leadership of Tinubu for 2023. The other policy you came up with that I became so happy about is agriculture.
Okay. Now, this is outside the realms of our conversation tonight. You get what I'm saying? We're actually discussing the currency, the redesign of the currencies. Don't worry, we're still gonna create another forum, where we're gonna do a free for all our members, to come and maybe that's what we're even going to do next. We're supposed to have an economist next week. Maybe we even make the upper week. Maybe we'll create that room next week for our members to come and do free for all and, defend their present their candidates, defend their candidates. Do you get what I'm saying? But today is not the day. I applied that adapter. Is that okay?
All right, sir. So for the currency, I think the policy in the country that says that every 20 years, the denomination should be changed to a new design. But in the last time, according to the CBN government, it said in the last 20 years that has not been done. Maybe it is 10 years, but in the last 20 years it has not been done, and they decided to do it. I don't know the reason why they are doing this. But if you look at the antecedent of the present president, you will know that it's what he loves doing. In 1983, when I was about a few days or few months old, I found out I did the same thing, where he changed the face of the Naira into something else, and he's repeating it. Maybe that is his own way of his understanding about governance.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, PLIDE Adapter. That's a unique take on it. Maybe
But
that's his own.
I have not seen it. I have not seen it. That his own
continue.
way.
I thought you finished. Continue. Go on. Okay, I think his connection is it's back and forth. It's dodgy.
No, so I'm understanding about governance, about governance and financial instruments, because he's doing it for the second time. And that means the two times that he has been given the privilege to govern Nigeria, he has done the same thing twice. So I don't know what is...
Okay.
The truth is that I think the network here is fluctuating.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed, but I mean, you've made very, very valid points there, and I really want to appreciate you. I mean, Don't worry. I think the network is pretty bad where you are. It's just because of our time, but you've made very, very valid points. He's done this twice. He did this the first time when you were just born, and he's done it again. That maybe that's his own understanding of economic policies, but at the same time, maybe he's looking back at the successes, quote and unquote, of the last iteration of this policy back in 1984. So it might just be the case. We really do not know what the case is, but I want to thank you for your take. I applied that adapter. So I know because of the network is bad, but I'm looking forward to hear you next week. I know you're very partisan in this political times, so it will be very fantastic to hear from you next weekend by the grace of God. But right now, we just quickly I'll call. I believe there are a few more. We've had quite a lot of people joining tonight's webinar. There are loads who have come, and despite the networks, people are coming in and going. I've got Richard Jimo joining us now. I've also got Aluko has been in and out because of network issues, and I've got Bumi Shokumbi joining us as well. Bumi Shokumbi, do you want to have a say on this? If you just want to unmute yourself, Bumi. And after that, we go to PLIDE Richard Jimo, and then we probably take a last take from Olada said he wants to say something after. We'll take him, and then we'll take the section after that. Bumi Shokumbi, do you want to unmute yourself? Okay.
Okay. I'm fine. I just want to listen. I want to learn.
Oh, fantastic. That's a brilliant one. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
No worries. Thank you. Okay. So, PLIDE Richard Jimo, let us have your take on this matter. Good
evening, Convener and House.
Good evening.
Sorry, just pardon me. I'm in transit at the moment, but I'm just going to let my 2 cents into this imbroglio as I see it. The confusion at the hands of those who govern Nigeria is just so inexcusable. You have the governor of the central bank announcing one fiscal policy in one breath, and you've got the Minister of Finance going before the Senate, counteracting such announcement. Obviously, to those folks in the diaspora, I mean, what I naturally saw by it was at the literal moment which Emefiele announced this change in currency, the Naira just lost its value because I did send some cash back home that day, and the next day it was almost about 30 to 40 Naira increment upon it, and then you have this whole confusion about 2 days later the Minister of Finance coming up and saying it's something which will be bad for the economy. The question which I beg to ask right now, who is actually in charge of governance in Nigeria? I literally want to know who's in charge of governance. I mean, before you go to press with such matters that can literally alter the whole economic terrain of a nation, surely it should be thought through. And surely those who are in charge of the country should be singing from the same hymn. Evidently, they're not. So I think it's high time they get grip. They really do get grip. Regardless of how ineffective and ineffectual they might seem or come across, it's high time they at least, for the sake of every Nigerian, get grip on what they are doing. I hear the floor back, sir.
Wow, thank you so much. You've asked a key question of who is in charge, who is currently in charge of the governance of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Richard Jimo. Those of us, those who know Richard Jimo, you know, he's always, in fact, that's the most quiet. I've actually had him on a webinar. You know, he's always no holds barred. He just comes in and says, you know, asks some very, very difficult questions. I can see Olani Mudashiru's hands up. I'm going to go to Olade Afolabi first because he actually indicated he wanted to say something at the beginning. So I'll give Olade Afolabi 2 minutes. Mudashiru 2 minutes, and then if there's anybody else who raises their hands to talk, we'll probably give them another 2 minutes, and then that will be the end of it. We want to close this before 8 o'clock Nigerian time. But I apply that. Richard Jimo made a very valid point that who is in charge of that was really embarrassing. You can't be the leader of a nation and allow those kind of. It just shows you're not in control of your own government when you have. Because everything the Minister of Finance and the central bank governor says, whatever they say individually or collectively, those things have an impact on the currency straight away. They have an impact on the exchange rate. The markets react to all those things. And when you have them not singing from the same hymn book, it just adds to what everybody says, that maybe the president does not have a grip. Olade Afolabi, let's have you first now. Olade Afolabi, you're unmuted. Let's hear from you. Okay, can we have Olani Mudashiru because of our time? Oh, I think his connection is bad. He'll probably rejoin. Mudashiru, yeah, unmute yourself and fire on. Mudashiru, please.
Okay, I think I quickly want to answer the last speaker question of who is in charge of the economy. The CBN reports directly to the president, and it's an independent body on its own. It's not under the Ministry of Finance. It has nothing to do with the Minister of Finance. It has nothing to do with, aside the National Assembly, who by heart that has the power, aside that, is the president. So the CBN governor reports directly to the president. And Emefiele told us that he had briefed the president of whatever monetary policy or whatever changes they want to do as regards the printing of the new notes. So the minister saying what she said, it was, you know, when people go to the press, because I watched, it was I think was the House of Reps or Senate that were asking her, and she said she heard about it like every other Nigerian, you know.
Wow.
Because it is not, if you watch the workings of the CBN, the CBN does not report to the Minister of Finance.
No.
So it is. I know it should probably be at the briefing, maybe when they finish with the president, the normal press briefing. That is where they are going to have it. So we should allow everybody to work and do their job. There are two different things. Ministry of Finance is saddled with different responsibilities, and the CBN is saddled with another responsibility. The CBN governor had done what he should do by law, by seeking the consent of the president, and he had done that. So there is no fuse about someone not knowing or someone. It's not the purview of the office. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Olani Ibudashu, for your
right. Thank you, Governor. Can I just quickly
thoughts?
come back in, please, sir? Just quickly. Fine.
Okay. Yeah,
everybody has got their brief, which they answers to. Absolutely, that's fine. But the one thing which is constant here is that the CBN governor, all the ministers in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as it obtains in all democratic senses, answers and serves at the pleasure of the president. Do you understand? In serving at the pleasure of the president, what that simply means is that they should be in consonance with all that which they announce and deliver to the public. Do you understand? The Minister for Finance cannot come on a national platform and say she just heard about the announcement of a major fundamental fiscal policy directive in the Federation, just on the news, just like every common person from my village. It doesn't make sense. In the United Kingdom here, you can say that the Chancellor will not be in sync with the Governor of the Bank of England. It's not possible. It is just not humanly possible. Everybody has got their brief, which they answer to. The central bank governor might be independent from the Minister for Finance, but they all are answerable to the Commander-in-Chief. They all serve at the pleasure of the Commander-in-Chief. And therefore, matters of national policies regarding financial or economical matters, both parties must be fully briefed and fully aware of it. We're not saying the central bank governor should be answerable to the Minister of Finance. No. But the Minister of Finance, such an utterance from the Minister of Finance that she wasn't aware of it, actually did affect the market and devalued the Naira the more. Because it's smart unprofessionalism, it's just smart crass out of it that nobody has got a grip of what's going on in the hands of affairs of this nation. If a full Minister of Finance can say he heard about a major fundamental financial policy, the very same way that the man on the Aboki on the gate with his wireless radio heard it, then come on. What are we saying here? Are you the floor back, sir?
Thank you so much. Just as we're doing this, as we're rounding off, the presidency just released a statement. Shehu Garba, Malam Garba Shehu, the special assistant to the president on media, has just released this statement. It says President Muhammadu Buhari has reacted to the plan by the CBN to redesign and replace 1,500 and 200 Naira notes. The president, according to a release issued on Sunday by spokesman Malam Garba Shehu, said the decision of the CBN to launch new designs and replace high-value Naira notes had his support, and he was convinced that the nation will gain a lot by doing so. Speaking in an Hausa radio interview with the renowned journalist Alilu Ahmed Getso and Kamaluddin Sani Shawai, to be aired on Wednesday morning on Tambari TV on Nilesat, President Buhari said reasons given to him by the CBN convinced him that the economy stood to benefit from reduction in inflation. Now we're having the reasons for the first time, I believe, reduction in inflation, currency counterfeiting, and the excess cash in circulation. So that's three major planks, reduction in inflation, currency counterfeiting, and the excess cash in circulation. He said he did not consider the period of 3 months for the change to the new notes as being short. According to him, people with illicit money buried under the soil will have a challenge with this, but workers, businesses with legitimate incomes will face no difficulties at all. In the interview, the president also, that's it. So now there it is. It is official. We have the reasons.
Almost a week later, Governor. Almost a week later. Almost a week later.
Is Nigeria for you. And then you have CBN governor, and you have the finance minister, like you rightly noted, claiming ignorance of it, and that is a shame of it. This topic, this conversation has been so in-depth and more interesting than I ever thought it was going to be. It is a fantastic one. I know Ms. Oluwaseun Pinton has just joined us. One or two others have just joined, but we cannot take any more. I would have loved to read out all the comments in the comment section, but I want to thank Sholafa, the SecGen, for quite a lot of intelligent information, very actionable information there. And I also want to appreciate Olade Afolabi, who has put in there anybody who loses their phones, quick lock. Apparently, it's called quick lock. I work from. I wouldn't know, but locking your bank. The access codes to locking your bank account is put them in the chat. And Mr. SecGen, the media people, please, can you put this on our social media, on the social media feeds for this webinar, so that those who are watching us can also benefit from it. We don't have the time to start typing it out for people to have it, but I just want to appreciate everybody who has joined. If the SecGen's connection is back on now, can I have him close the session as usual? If not, Miss Oluwabinton, I'll give you 1 minute. Sheon Oluwabinton, do you want to say something? Just 1 minute. We'll close this. 1 minute. Miss Sheon Oluwabinton, do you want to unmute yourself? Okay, yeah, go on.
Good evening.
Fire.
So, good evening, everyone. I think
good evening.
I'm too late to join the webinar to want to actually contribute anything. I felt I was going to be able to catch up, but then I'm so sorry I came in late.
No worries. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the fact that you actually joined. It's been such a well-attended one. It's been interesting. And of course, we're going to, the SecGen is back in, so I'm just going to let him do I'm going to let him do the closing rituals. So to say, traditions, So thank you, Ms. Shewola. Thank you, everyone who have joined us today. We've had loads of people coming into this webinar. And this is me now thinking maybe we should do more of these in-house ones. Next week, by popular demand, we're going to have a free-for-all session in-house again for members on the 2023 elections. We're discussing the candidates this time around because I can see some of you are you're prepping up, you're dying to actually campaign in public for your candidates. So please feel free, whoever it is you're supporting next week, but be ready as you're coming to discuss those things. Be ready to answer some very difficult questions we're going to be asking you about those candidates you want to promote. Let me call on the SecGen to give the vote of thanks to close the session for us. Mr. Sejan, if your connection is okay.
Yeah, yes, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Go on.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Yes. Before I appreciate everybody for joining us this evening, I also want to give a concluding remarks on the policy by CBN to redesign Naira. For me, the timing is right because it's not overdue. Statutorily, currency is ought to be changed according to CBN Act within a period of 6-7 years. Looking at the notice given to Nigerians, for us, we might think that the notice is politically motivated because they're looking at winding up whatever they want to do before February, which is to say they're only giving us 2-3 months. And if you're not looking at the disconnection between CBN and their finance ministry, for us, it's not something to be applauded. It's not something to be celebrated. There must be a proper handshake. And I won't be surprised because the same thing happened. We had the CBN governor that left that desk to contest as the president of the country and also came back to become the CBN governor. It's an heresy. But that heresy came to stand in our country. If that could be allowed, I won't be surprised that they can take a solid decision that affects the nation's economy without, we are not saying she needs to get authority from the finance minister, but she's expected to run it through the finance ministry. It is very normal. They have a dotted reporting. So with that, I want to sincerely appreciate everybody who have taken it upon themselves joining us this evening. We sincerely appreciate you and we thank you for joining us. And like the convener said, next week here is going to be another interesting session where we need to talk more about our candidates and to x-ray their character, because the character, whoever you want to become the president in 2023, is very critical to our success as a nation. So we want to welcome and want to appreciate everybody for joining us, and we look forward to having you all and more than this by next weekend. God bless you all and have a fantastic new week. Good evening, everyone.